my friends, it's Tanya Haffern, and welcome to the Side Hustle Academy podcast, where we help entrepreneurs build their impact, influence, and income. Today's recording is with Andrew Walker, and we are going to be discussing property entrepreneurship. Welcome, Andrew.
Awesome. Thanks, Tanya, and thanks for having me on your show.
Such a pleasure to have you here. Tell me a little bit about yourself, Andrew.
Tanya, on the property side, I call myself a property entrepreneur, and I've got a global business both in South Africa and the UK.
Interesting. Tell me a bit about how you managed to get yourself into the UK.
Yeah, it's a funny story actually, because my history was, Tanya, is I was a sound engineer, and I think it was back in 2001 where my wife, or 2004 actually, my wife Simone just got her degree as a speech therapist, and she wanted to go to the UK just for a gap year, for a year. And I had to make a decision. I could continue being a sound engineer, or I could go over with her into London in 2005 for a year. But that 1 year ended up being quite a long time.
Did you know you were going to go and get into property when you went over?
Absolutely not. I knew I was going to go over. I was a sound engineer, so I did some video work, some audio work, which was awesome. And I just found myself at a free seminar one day, all about property investing, and the people that were presenting were South Africans. And I had the attitude, if they could do it, so could I. So I decided to kickstart my property journey in the UK, in the north of England, back in 2005, going into 2006.
That's fascinating. And was it easy to get into?
No, it was not easy, purely because I had no capital. So as a 25-year-old South African in London, I was living in London, still working as a sound engineer. I had this dream, now I had this motivation to get into property, but I had no money. I had a bit of education. The big thing I had was the mentor. I had to find ways of finding time, creating time. I had to tap into a network.
And is a network important? Do you think without that network you wouldn't have been able to make it?
Never, ever, ever made it, because it was the network where I met my business partners. It was in the network that I found my JV partners for my first property deals. It was the network where I raised all my money. It was a network where I actually found my first bridging finance company. So when I look back and thought, if I try to do it myself, if I was never exposed to the network, I would never have raised that cash.
Do you think that there's a network like that exists in South Africa for people to lean into?
Yes, myself.
Oh, tell me more.
You see, what happened was back in 2013, now when I moved back to South Africa, my journey was 2005 to 2013 in England. I built up the letting business and all of that, and all on the back of a network. So when I moved back to South Africa, because I wanted my kids to grow up with granny and grandpa and family and friends, I went into Google searching networking events, taking for granted or expecting that there'll be these networking events in South Africa. Couldn't find any. So very quickly as an entrepreneur, I saw a gap, and I put my first networking event on. I think I had about 7 people at that event. That was back in 2013.
Right. Mm-hmm. And what has it grown to now?
It grew and grew to a point where, I was getting 50, 60, 70 people in the room. At that stage with Warren Brisser, we then decided to go to Pretoria. So we're doing Johannesburg, Pretoria. Warren moved to Cape Town. We did Cape Town, Somerset West. And where we are today is, yes, it's still Joburg. It is still Pretoria. We're in Soweto. We're in Durban. We're in Cape Town. We're going into Bloemfontein. So we're in quite a few cities in South Africa. And as we stand today, we are the largest networking platform in the country.
And tell me, you sound like a really busy guy. You've got a family, you've got 2 small children, you travel all around the world. How do you deal with overwhelm? How do you manage to juggle all of that?
I married the right wife.
Ah, is that the trick?
Yeah, no, I must say without Simone, I would be stuck. So Simone helps me with the kids. Simone helps me with my diary. And I just find balance, So yes. So, if I do go away for 10 days overseas into the UK or into Europe, I make sure that before I go and after I go, I don't do any work, or I do minimal work just to spend time with the kids. So I'll make sure that I take them to school, I fetch them from school, just to get that balance.
And now we're at one of my favorite parts of the show, where Andrew has just 60 seconds to teach me a new skill. And I can hardly wait to hear what you're going to teach me today, Andrew.
Absolutely. It's my golden secret.
Oh, tell me more.
It's all about, as a busy dad and a daughter who is currently 6 years old, who thinks she's 21 years old, and you've got a few minutes to get to school, how do you brush that hair without screaming and shouting within 60 seconds?
Okay, Andrew, your time starts now.
Okay, Scarly, so we're going to be at school in a few minutes, and Mommy's very cross because she had a very late night, so Dad's going to brush her hair. So look at me now. Look at me. Oh, all right, 10 seconds in. Come, Scarls, and you can't pull faces. There we go. Is it sore? There we go. Oosh. You see, Scarls, this is why I said we got to wash hair at night, because when it comes to brushing hair in the next morning, then it's not so bad. There we go. One more turn. 30 seconds. One more turn. Now you're going to look like a princess, eh? Now you're going to look beautiful. There we go. Okay, look at Dad. Alice band. Put on yourself. There we go. One more.
45 seconds.
Are we going to turn and show the camera?
Yeah. Now, there we go. One more. See, it's called Daddy's spit. There we go. See, Skulls, there we go. Smile at the camera, so I'm ready for school. Wave.
Yay! Well done. Thank you so much, Skylar, for being such a willing model.
Oh, you're so good.
Now tell me, what does success mean to you, Andrew?
I want to do what I want to do when I want to do it. Mm-hmm. And I deem myself as successful when I can live by that motto. So it's not directly related to money. It's more about, can I go on holidays when I want? Can I spend time with the kids when I want? Can I travel when I want? If I can do those things, then I see myself as successful. If I was tied down 24/7, I miss all my rugby games, I don't spend time with the kids at all, I don't see my wife, I don't go out, I don't have my dop and chops, to me, I'm not successful. So success to me is having the flexibility on time.
Andrew, you have a letting business,
Yes.
and you say that it's based in the UK.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a bit about how you manage your staff remotely and in general, how you manage your staff?
No, 100%. I think in the beginning it wasn't easy, I'll say that. And I've learned some very, very valuable lessons. I've put a few small things in place just to make sure I manage the business correctly. For example, every single morning between 8:30 and 9:30, the staff have a catch-up meeting. What happened yesterday? What's happening today and what's happening tomorrow. That way, from an internal point of view, everyone knows what everyone's doing, right? Were there any issues yesterday? If they were, bring them up in the morning. You know, what's everyone's agenda? For example, if the letting sales consultant is going to be out for the day, but she's expecting an application to come in, she'll say, look, Caroline, I'm expecting John to come in. He'll be coming by 11 o'clock. He's bringing the application in. So it's all about communication, right, in a business. Every Monday, we have a catch-up meeting where I get involved. So I'm a part of the everyday morning meetings. And I say to the staff, only involve me if there's a big issue. If a landlord is complaining, if there's a tenant complaint, I want to know about it. If not, continue running the business as you do. But every Monday morning between 8:30 and 9:30, we'll have a weekly catch-up. I'll say, look, ladies, what happened last week? Is everything good? Anything I need to know about? The other thing I do is I always keep an eye on the bank account. So every week I'll log into the bank account just to get a snapshot. Is everything looking okay? But as the business owner, I think it's good practice that you always keep an eye on your bank account, the client's account and the business account. Just a snapshot. Then we have the weekly sales meeting, and then we have a monthly meeting where I'll get the management accounts from the bookkeeper, accountant. How did the company do financially? That's very key to a small business owner, even a big business owner. Because if you don't watch the cash flow before you know it, if the business isn't cash flowing, you get to month 2, month 3, month 4, you have no cash flow. So one of my biggest tips is, as an entrepreneur, it is your responsibility and your duty to make sure that that business is going to cash flow. Because if you don't, you're going to be in a position where you can't pay salaries, and you don't want to be in that position. Another key tip I've realized is when I started the letting business and I started employing people, I always went in with low salaries, trying to, what's the lowest I can pay someone? And because of that, you know, great, it's great for cash flow, but I had such a high turnover. Then a good few years ago, I met someone that said, Andrew, you know, if you're going to pay peanuts, you're going to get monkeys. And I thought to myself, okay, and I put myself through some training from a business entrepreneurial point of view, and someone said, pay your staff well, right? Since that day, I've started paying my staff very well. And the result is, Tanya, I've got staff that have been with me for a very long time. They put in more work than they should. You know, when I do travel back to the UK, it's all about leadership. It's about, I take them out for meals, I make them feel special. I'll do what I can to help them. Whatever resource they need to do their job, I'll give them.
Our takeaways are really that we need to have some structure in there. We need to have some meetings.
Yeah.
We need to pay our staff well. We need to hold them accountable.
100%.
And then all important, we need to make sure we're keeping an eye on the finances.
100%. That's
Very
the biggest
good.
thing, because if you can't manage it, you can't measure it, right?
Yes.
That's where those monthly management meetings are key.
Now, just in closing, what is the one thing that you would like all property entrepreneurs who are getting out there, getting into the property market, what is the one thing that they should start focusing on to get started on their journey?
Get into a network of like-minded property investors, a network where people are already doing what they want to do. So before they buy their first investment, they should be having coffee meetings with investors who have bought the type of property they want to buy. Ask them questions, you know, how did you find the deal? How did you fund the deal? What did you do wrong? What would you do different? Go interview 10 property investors. They're all like-minded in the network. Once you've done that and you know what you're going to be doing, then start raising the money. Then start finding the deal. Then only invest in the deal. So I'd say build that network, because again, if something goes wrong, you need to have a network to come back on.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for these invaluable tips that you've shared with us today, Andrew. I'm sure
Pleasure,
that everybody's
Tanya.
going to be able to take them and use them to scale their business
Hope
too.
they can.
I hope so too.
Cool.
Thank you. And thank you, Skylar. Thank you for watching the Side Hustle Academy, the show for entrepreneurs who want to take their skills to the next level. We do weekly interviews, so if you're new here, please consider subscribing to this channel and sharing it with people you think might benefit from this type of content. Remember that some of the best tips and strategies come from you, the Side Hustle community. So connect with everybody in the comment section. Keep crushing it, and we'll chat again soon.